Hey guys, I'm back. Seth the Mad Dog here. What's been going on? It's been a while. It's been a while, hasn't it, since I've been on here. I did the short the other week, but it's been a few minutes since I've sat down with you guys and done a real video. Just checked. It's been almost 10 months since I've posted a full film video. I made some posts on social media, and I still was doing signals this whole time. So if you've stayed up with me through that, you probably heard about a few things going on in my life. It's been an interesting 10 months for me. I kind of got overwhelmed with the channel. I'm doing this all myself. I'm filming everything, I'm editing everything, and I have no background in any of that. I just one day decided to start doing it. And yeah, so it was definitely something I had to learn how to do, and it was more time intensive than I thought. And then signals, although fun, turned out to be more of a time investment than I thought it was going to be. So I had that I have to do every week, and then I had this that I was trying to do every week, and it was getting a lot to manage. Outside of that, I had a lot of things on my plate at my job. We were in between some leadership at one of my areas I work, which kind of increased my workload and stress level. And then I had some personal news. My mother was diagnosed with lung cancer. Ultimately, that was terminal, and she passed away this Christmas. And so that was, a big thing. There's no nice way to say that. It was a really big deal. We spent some time with her at the original diagnosis. Everything seemed to be going well. But when we got the news that it was going to end up being terminal and that she was no longer seeking treatment, it basically canceled all of my events at that point. To make sure I went back and saw her and spent some time with her while she was still in relatively good health. I did manage to get out to a few local events here in the Southeast, but that really just kind of shut everything down for me. So now we're getting past that. I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to get back to doing some of the things I enjoy. If you've paid attention, I in that time off, I started playing Tau. I have a Tau army since 3rd edition. I bought it when I was a kid, and it's the only army that I actually still have from that time period in my life. I played that because I was getting bored with orc. Orcs at that time were pretty much Goth pressure, and that's it. I think this was actually before Knockman came out. So I was trying that out because there were some really weird builds out there that I wanted to mess around with it, and I had fun with it. Then in the summer I went back to orcs. I played orcs actually at ATC for my team, and we ended up doing pretty well with them. I think the team came in the top 10, so we were real happy with the finish. I was. That was a new experience for me. I had played on some more casual teams. This was a more competitive team. Still guys I knew and guys I was friends with, but I was definitely taken off guard by the level of preparation and expectations. Nothing against those guys. I think that was on me. That was probably the biggest last event I did with the orc. And then after that, I got the news in the midsummer and kind of shut all my travel plans down so I could spend some time with family. And then I had a chance to kind of escape for a weekend in October and go to a friend's event here in Alabama. I did pull the orcs out for that. And that was at the peak of Bile, Creations of Bile, and it was so demoralizing playing Goth pressure into Creations of Bile, because Goth pressure, my threat is I'm going to punch you. That's my only main source of damage output. And Creations of Bile were like, hey man, we're going to always fight on death, and we're going to fight first, and we're going to have extra movement, and we're going to do basically everything you can do but better. And there was just no good way to trade assets into that list. There was no good anything in terms of, even if I fought last of them, they had fights first, so they still would be fight normal, so then they could interrupt, and it really was demoralizing playing against those lists with orcs, and I did it a bunch on TTS. I guess also as a side note, my local play partner moved away. His wife got a very good job in Indiana. They moved, so I basically only get practice now via TTS. But I played against a lot of good players on there, and I knew the matchup was going to be rough. And then it just, I hit it first thing in that event, and it killed it for me. You know, it killed my drive to actually wheel that army out and try it in that meta. So around that point was when Votann had been released. I get paid in store credit from FLG, so I decided, you know, I pretty much have everything you can really need for orcs. You know, there's a few odds and ends. I literally have every model, to be clear. I have all the GW release models. I have all the Forger models. And, you know, if tomorrow 3 sets of, what is it, you know, 6 kilocans would be good, I have like 10 kilocans. I might have to go pick up a few more boxes, you know, but otherwise, I pretty much have everything I need. So I had the store credit. I didn't really need, you know, Tau was, it was fun, but I wasn't burning a hole in my pocket to play something with them. You know, Votann looked cool, and then Kicker and I decided to do a painting competition. So if you check it out over there, and I still have been posting some paint updates to the Seth the Mad Dog Facebook page. Ended up doing a kind of a paint project. I really tried to use contrast paints a lot. It was fun. I painted that army up. It took me about a month to get everything done. But when I had it done, I decided kind of last minute, I had a chance to go to Warzone Atlanta. I just had finished painting that army, so I took that to Warzone Atlanta. Been a month working on an army. You want to see it on the table. And it was a good time. I had fun with it. But after that, that was it for me for events for the year. I really, you know, looking back on it, playing Tau and Votann didn't really make me a better player. And nothing against those guys that play those armies. I wasn't learning things. I wasn't using skills that I wanted to improve with. I missed the challenge of orcs, and to be frank, I missed the fun of orcs. And not just the fun for me, but the fun for my opponent, because when you play those oppressive shooting armies and your opponent just gets to sit there while you roll dice and then they remove their models from the other side of the board, it's not really fun or interactive. And I actually had a game at Warzone Atlanta against a friend of mine there who is playing orcs for a long time, and it was just a lot of fun to see orcs get on the table. So I decided I wanted to come back to start playing some orcs, and it ended up shaking out pretty well that they got some cool updates with Arcs of Omen and the balanced data slate and the points. So it's kind of reinvigorated me to start tinkering with lists again. I've probably put about a half dozen Arcs of Omen games in on TTS against various players. Won some, lost some, but learning a lot about what we can do with the army now. But it's time to get back into the hobby. Time to start really getting back into the channel, getting back into orcs. If you watch Signals, I made a big statement. Said, I'm gonna try to be the #1 orc player in the ITC at the end of the season. It's a big statement. I've never come close to that. And to be frank, I probably won't achieve that goal this year, but I'm always kind of the mindset of I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to try and fail. And so if in the process of trying to get to that goal, I learn some things, I do better, I maybe win an event or two, great. And if I don't make it this year, maybe I try again next year. So it's a goal of mine to try to force myself to be accountable as a player in terms of trying to learn from each of my games. It's a goal for myself to try to force myself to be a little bit more strict with sticking with orcs throughout the season. And it's also a goal of myself to get myself traveling some more. You know, financial reasons, I had to cut back on travel. And then with my family stuff going on, any travel budget I had, I really wanted to allocate towards that. But I've got the opportunity to maybe do a little bit more travel this year. I'm going to be at LVO. I'm not playing this year. I'm supporting the team. I'm going to be a streamer. I did that last year. I played and streamed, and you know, I subscribed to the Ron Swanson statement of never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. So I was either going to be all in on playing or all in on streaming, and I like a lot of the guys behind the scenes on the stream. I enjoy the process, and I'm weird. If I see my friends sitting around working and hustling, trying to get things done, and I'm just sitting there doing nothing, I'm gonna jump in and help. So I knew I was gonna eventually get drawn into helping, so I said, fine, let's just all in on that. And it's working out well. I've got a nice defined role. I'm gonna be doing the field reporting. So I'm gonna be running around kind of updating the stream on things that are not the game that's actually being streamed, you know, what's going on with the rest of the field, what's going on with the rest of the event. And it's going to give me a chance to, you know, I'm still going to be there, still going to hang out with people, still going to say hi to everyone. Gives me a chance to deliver this, because my hobby room's in disarray right now. Because I was all set up not to make models, but to make props. So I had promised last year that my producer for Signals, Tech Pretty Sticky, he's a big World Eater player. World Eaters are coming out right now. He wanted a chain axe. I made the chop a long time ago, so I made him a chain axe, which turned out really well. And the important part, because I'm flying, is this thing collapses into 2 pieces and fits in luggage, which is good because that's how I'm going to get it there, and that's how the Tech Priest is going to get it home. So I made that, but that kind of meant that the hobby space was set up to make this kind of stuff and not set up to make models. I sort of did a little bit of teardown yesterday. I've been working on some models. Tank busters, I think, are probably going to be really useful going forward. And I had a lot of tank busters in terms of the dudes holding the rockets, but I didn't have a lot in terms of the tank hammers and the knobs. And I'm messing around with the idea of 3 units of 5 and putting them in strategic reserve, and a tank hammer in each one of them. So I did a few conversions. Actually, this is going to look horrible on the camera. One of the other things that I've gotten this year is a little picture box. So when I get these painted up, I'm gonna put them up on my Facebook page. That's where I'm gonna try to put most of my bottles, just to make it easier for me filming, because I don't want this to become a burden in terms of the production process that inhibits me getting out here and talking to you guys. So when models get done, I'm probably not going to show them off here. I'm going to take pictures and put them over on that Facebook page so you can check them out there. But I had another box ordered, and then I ended up doing some conversions so I get a couple more knobs and a couple more tank hammers. So I think it's a fun utility piece. I'll talk more about lists later, probably another video. But just kind of giving you guys an update of what I've been up to. Where are we going from here? I want to try to maybe stick to 2 videos, full videos like this, a month. I don't know if it's going to be every other week. Might be depending on what I've got going on schedule-wise, what I've got going on travel-wise. And I might try to fill in those other time periods with some of the shorts. I experimented just filming on my phone to do a little YouTube short to kind of announce like, hey, I'm going to try to come back, guys. So, and that seemed to work fine in terms of like video quality and upload, and I got some views and some comments, so you guys ended up seeing it. So I might try to do that. Those are pretty easy for me to do. I can do them on the run. I can do them on an event. I don't know if I'm going to vlog from events. I'm gonna try, but it is a little bit more cumbersome to have that camera with me on the cart along with all the other things you got going on when you're trying to play. So I'll try it. I'll see how it goes. I'll drag it along with me, probably to Cherokee. Cherokee is the next big event that I'm actually slated to play in, and that's the end of February. At the time of filming, we're in like mid-January here, so like, it's going to be a while before I get out to a tournament. I'm trying to maybe get some stuff happening for earlier in February, but it's probably going to be something local here in the Southeast. There was some talk about me going up to Stutter Snotling, but my plans for accommodations and travel once I'm up there kind of fell through. So I'm going to save the money, probably travel up to Canada for something else at a different point in the year. So for now, that's the next big event I'm targeting, which is good because right now a lot of the players I'm playing with on TTS, a lot of them are still focused on LVO. LVO made the decision to stay with Knockman and not use ARCs, which I think ultimately was the right decision. But that means that a lot of them haven't really started to transition over into playing ARCs, and they won't until after the LVO. So that'll give me about 3 weeks of good reps with those guys, and to try to come up with some list that I can take forward into Cherokee. I've been collecting the hobby pieces. I got them. There was a minute I was excited about flash kits, so I had 20 and I bought 10 more. Played some games. Flash kits aren't going to be that good, so I have plenty of flash kits that will end up being good at some point. But I've got either in box or over here in the unpainted model shelf. I've got most everything I need to get an army together. So I'll probably spend some hobby time trying to knock the rust off there. It's been a while since I painted orcs. I did paint one orc since the break, which was the Golf Rocker, because I got a chance to paint that early, so I painted that up early. But I got to get back in the paint swing of things. I got to get back in the paint swing of things. I got to get back in the play swing of things. I got to get back in the filming side of things. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around with the channel. I did check in on it and saw that slowly some views still kept ticking up, so folks are still going back and finding that content, and I really appreciate that you guys found that and found it useful. The Discord is still super active. I have not been super active in there, but the Great Green Wog is the Discord for the orc players. I'll post a link for it here down below. when I go to editing this. So you guys can join that and keep the conversation going. I know everyone's excited about all the ARC stuff coming. I don't have my ARC book physically in hand yet. It should hopefully be here in the next week. And then I'll probably try to go through a little bit of a primer there on what's going on with orcs in ARC. I also at some point want to talk about kind of how, where orcs are at the end of Nachman. And maybe that's a dovetail there. Maybe I put those two together. I talk about where orcs were at the end of Nachman and how they can transition into ARCs and what builds we can try moving forward. So that's kind of my plan. You're here to keep me accountable, guys. That's the plan. You keep me accountable. I'll be accountable to you and try to come back and report to you what's been going on. I'm not going to stress so much about the video quality because that was one of the things that really just took a lot of my time. So if that upsets you, I'm sorry. If anyone really wants to be an editor for free or volunteer or extremely cheap, I would happily consider turning my raw footage over to you and letting you make something nice out of it. So just let me know. I'm just gonna, it's a fun project for me. I'm gonna do it as long as I can. And as long as you guys are enjoying it and watching it. So that's that. Thanks for sticking around. I'm glad to be back. Until next time, this is Seth the Mad Dog saying, have a good wah.